A grieving black father, Amara Johnson, finds himself trapped in a nightmare when his 10-year-old daughter, Princess, dies under mysterious circumstances. Though the official explanation claims it was a tragic playground accident, Amara's instincts tell him otherwise. Determined to uncover the truth, he makes the desperate decision to place a hidden camera inside her coffin. What he discovers on the tape will shatter his reality and send him on a relentless quest for answers. Amara and Princess lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood, a place where polite smiles masked indifference. Princess was his world, a beacon of light after her mother had left years earlier. The day of her death began like any other, with Princess happily sketching as Amara made breakfast. Her laughter filled their home, her words proclaiming him the strongest dad in the world. By that afternoon, she was gone. A call from the hospital informed Amara that Princess had suffered a fatal accident at the playground. At her funeral, Amara noticed things that didn't add up. Her body bore unexplained bruises, and there was dirt under her fingernails. Funeral home workers spoke dismissively, their words underscoring their bias. People like them. His concerns were brushed off as grief, but Amara couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. Fueled by doubt, Amara installed a hidden camera inside Princess's coffin, an act that felt both desperate and invasive. He told his sister Clara about his plan, and though she voiced her concern, he remained steadfast. Watching the footage, Amara was initially met with darkness and silence. But as midnight approached, faint movements appeared, followed by unsettling scraping sounds. Then came voices, muffled, deliberate, and chilling. "Don't make it harder than it has to be. Just get it done." The words ignited a fire in Amara. He knew these weren't random glitches or natural occurrences. Someone had tampered with Princess's body. He copied the footage and sought help from the police, but they dismissed his claims, calling the evidence inconclusive. Undeterred, Amara turned to Clara for support. Together, they vowed to uncover the truth, no matter what it took. Amara's obsession grew as he replayed the footage, each viewing fueling his anger and grief. He resolved to investigate further, knowing the official channels had failed him. Princess deserved justice, and Amara refused to let her death become another statistic swept under the rug. What started as a father's grief had transformed into a battle against a system indifferent to his pain. The hidden camera had revealed whispers of a dark truth, but Amara knew the fight was far from over. This was just the beginning of his journey for justice, a journey that would test the depths of his love, courage, and resolve. Everyone they spoke to dismissed the case as paranoia. Amara paused, biting his lip, before stating firmly, "We go public. If we can't get answers the right way, we force their hand." Clara hesitated. "Are you sure, Amara? Once this is out there, you can't take it back. People might attack you for it or twist it into something it's not." Amara's tone softened, but stayed resolute. "I can't let this go, Clara. If they covered something up, if they let her die because of negligence or worse, then we can't let them hide it." Reluctantly, Clara agreed. That day, Amara contacted a local news station, leaving messages with every reporter he could find. Hours passed with no response, and desperation gnawed at him until a young journalist, Julia Reyes, finally called back. "I saw your email," she said, "and I watched the footage." Amara gripped the phone tightly. "And," he asked, "there's definitely something strange going on," Julia admitted. "But this isn't going to be easy. Funeral homes don't just open coffins after burial without a reason or permission." "They didn't have permission," Amara said quickly. "No one did." Julia's response was cautious. "Then we need more evidence. Meet me tomorrow. Bring everything you have." The next day, Amara and Clara met Julia at a quiet cafe on the edge of town. Julia, younger than they expected, exuded sharp focus and determination. "I want to help," she said, pulling out a notepad. "But if we're going to run this story, we need to dig deeper. We need proof of negligence or motive." Over the next few days, Julia uncovered troubling details about the funeral home, a history of complaints about mishandled bodies and falsified records. Amara wasn't surprised but still felt chilled. Simultaneously, He and Clara tracked down employees willing to talk. After many dead ends, they found a former worker, Kevin Foster, who reluctantly agreed to meet them at a diner. Kevin was nervous, fidgeting with his coffee cup as he began. "I don't know what you expect me to say." "The truth," Amara said, leaning forward. "My daughter's body was tampered with after the funeral. I need to know why." Kevin's hands shook. "You think you're the first one?" he asked. Amara froze. "What do you mean?" Kevin explained haltingly, revealing horrifying practices. Reused caskets, switched bodies, sloppy embalming, and hurried cover-ups. "If your daughter's body was moved," Kevin concluded, "it's because they were hiding something." Amara's stomach turned, but he kept calm. Julia asked Kevin to go on record. Kevin hesitated, fearing repercussions. "They'll come after me," he said. Amara nodded grimly. "They already came after me. They vandalized my car, made it clear they don't want me asking questions. But I'm not backing down." After a moment's pause, Kevin said, "I'll think about it," before leaving the diner. The investigation gained momentum as Julia unearthed evidence of a rushed and incomplete embalming process for Princess. Altered documents painted a false picture of routine work, but the inconsistencies were glaring. Julia published the story, sparking outrage in the community. The case brought forward others who shared experiences of discrimination and neglect. But the attention also brought danger. One night, Amara awoke to find "Stop Digging" spray painted on his garage. Threatening calls became frequent. Clara begged him to stop, but Amara stood firm. "We're too close," he said. "They're scared. That means we're doing something right." Under media pressure, the police reopened the investigation. Julia discovered a deeper connection. One of the funeral home's owners had ties to local hospitals, raising suspicions about financial motives. Meanwhile, Kevin called Amara in a panic. "They're coming after me," he said, his voice trembling. "I'll testify, but you have to help me." Amara agreed, though he knew the risks were mounting. The court battle was tense. The funeral home's lawyers painted Amara as a paranoid, grieving father. Angela Reed, Amara's no-nonsense attorney, countered with evidence: Princess's bruises, dirt under her nails, and the funeral home's history. She played the chilling recording in court. The jury's faces hardened as the whispers filled the room. "Just get it done. They'll never check." Kevin's testimony was shaky at first, but he grew more confident as he described the funeral home's malpractices. The defense tried to discredit him, but Kevin held firm. 3 days later, the jury returned a guilty verdict. The funeral home faced fines, and employees, including the director, were charged. Amara felt relief, but knew it wouldn't bring Princess back. Determined to create something positive from his loss, Amara and Clara started the Princess Johnson Foundation, advocating against discrimination and negligence in healthcare and funeral services. Julia Reyes continued covering the case, pushing for legislative change. The threats eventually stopped, but Amara kept the camera that started it all, a symbol of the fight he had won. One day, while cleaning Princess's room, he found her unfinished drawing of them standing under a tree. He framed it, hanging it in the living room. Beneath it were the words, "Always together, Dad." As Amara gazed at the drawing, tears filled his eyes. Not just tears of grief, but of love, hope, and a promise fulfilled. Amara's life took on a new rhythm in the weeks following the trial. The Princess Johnson Foundation grew faster than he had imagined, fueled by community outrage and a groundswell of support from people inspired by his fight. Donations poured in, and volunteers from all walks of life joined the cause. Clara became his steadfast partner in this endeavor, managing outreach programs while Amara focused on advocacy and policy change. One evening, as Amara reviewed the Foundation's latest initiatives, Clara walked into the room, her face lit with excitement. "We just got an invitation," she said, handing him an email. It was from a national human rights organization, inviting Amara to speak at their annual conference. The topic: systemic negligence and its impact on marginalized communities. Amara hesitated. Public speaking wasn't his strength. The idea of standing before a large audience dredged up memories of the courtroom. His heart pounding, his palms sweating. But Clara placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You've already faced worse," she said softly. "This is just another way to honor Princess." The conference was held in Washington, D.C., a far cry from the quiet town where Amara's journey had begun. On the day of his speech, he stood backstage, clutching a photograph of Princess for courage. As his name was announced, he stepped onto the stage, the lights blinding at first. He took a deep breath and began, his voice steady despite the lump in his throat. He spoke not just about Princess, but about the countless families who had reached out to him since the story broke. Families who had suffered in silence, their losses dismissed or ignored. He called for accountability, for reforms in funeral services, and for a system that prioritized compassion over profit. The audience erupted in applause, many rising to their feet. For the first time, Amara felt that his voice truly carried weight. After the speech, Amara was approached by a senator who had been moved by his story. "We need people like you to help shape legislation," she said. "Let's work together to ensure this never happens again." It was a turning point, marking Amara's transition from a grieving father to a national advocate for change. Back home, the foundation launched a new program offering financial assistance to families unable to afford proper funeral services. It also established a legal aid fund for those seeking justice against negligent institutions. Julia Reyes continued her investigative reporting, partnering with the foundation to expose systemic issues in funeral homes and healthcare facilities. Amara's journey wasn't without challenges. The foundation faced pushback from powerful industry groups, and there were moments when the weight of his responsibilities felt overwhelming. But every time doubt crept in, he returned to Princess's room, now a memorial filled with her drawings and keepsakes. The unfinished sketch of them under a tree remained his anchor, a reminder of why he couldn't stop. One evening, as Amara prepared for a meeting with legislators, Clara handed him a sealed envelope. "It came today," she said with a smile. Inside was a handwritten note from Kevin Foster. It read, "Dear Amara, thank you for not giving up, even when I was too scared to stand with you at first. Your courage gave me the strength to speak up, and because of you, others like me can find their voice too. Princess would be so proud. Keep fighting. Sincerely, Kevin." Tears blurred Amara's vision as he read the letter. He folded it carefully and placed it in his briefcase. The fight wasn't over, but he was no longer fighting alone. Together with Clara, Julia, and countless others inspired by Princess's story, he was building a legacy, a testament to the power of love, resilience, and the unwavering pursuit of justice. As the sun set that evening, Amara stepped outside, standing beneath the tree where he and Princess used to play. He felt the wind rustle through the branches, carrying with it a sense of peace. Though she was gone, her spirit remained, guiding him forward, and he knew that as long as he kept fighting, her story would never truly end.